Now, I'll go over this again well, actually I might as well just start now. We're going to wait about 5 more minutes in case anyone else comes in last minute and needs to be let in, and then we'll kick things off. For them though, there's a few things we can go through. I'm Adam. I'm the sponsor coordinator here for FoxPass. If you happen to work with a company or know of a company that might be interested in helping out with sponsorship, it does help with our pizza, but it also helps with a lot of our tech needs that come around behind it, web support, meetup support, etc., things like that. So any help is always appreciated. Another way you can help out is Pass Summit 2019. It's the biggest gathering of SQL professionals and experts in the world. If nothing else, getting out there and making some connections to people that you can be comfortable hitting up with a difficult situation in the future, it's an amazing resource out there. It's in Seattle. If you use this code, it will save you $150 off of the package price, and it will also give a kickback to our chapter itself. So if you're going out there anyways, or if you can convince your company to send you out there, you can save yourself or them some money and help out our local chapter here as well. That's in Seattle. I don't know if I said that, and it's usually around October. I think they're bumping it to the first week of November now, though, because they had one year they did it out there was on Halloween weekend and had some issues. Also, we have a local miniature version of that summit going on in Madison this Saturday, which is our SQL Saturday conference. If you haven't gone before, it is, again, they usually have like 12 tracks or something like that going with different sessions that are going for every hour, lots of different topics covered. Some of the presenters that have been here will be presenting down there on the same topics, but there's always different topics that we have on that. Edgewood College. And I think we should have that information up on our webpage as well. And I'm pretty sure, I think you were all here when I went over it before, but it's probably too late to register for the launch that is provided on site. With the new location, I'm assuming there are food places nearby, but I don't know. I know the old location had lots of places that launched this. And then before, we still have a couple minutes before I want to kick it off just in case somebody wanders in late. We do take a moment, if any of you know of companies that are looking or are yourself looking, take a moment to share that information. I know just last week, Jess Borland shared on their LinkedIn, they were the founding president of our local FoxPass chapter. They work with Microsoft right now, and their team is actually hiring and looking. If you don't know them personally, you can contact me afterwards, and I can connect you with them on LinkedIn if that's something that interests you. Feel free to help yourself to food and drink if you haven't already, and in a minute or two here, if you want to kick things off, feel free.
Can do another shameless plug.
Certainly.
Washington CA. This is a charity I'm involved with. I'm on the board. We bring relationship to people with disabilities. Awesome. It's a great thing. If we're completely successful, nobody will know we did it, because it just looks like a whole bunch of friends together, and you don't know who's disabled and who's not. That's kind of our goal. But we're in schools in Washington County. We have adult programs. We have we're trying to capture just out of high school kids. Once they get out of a structured thing, there's like no social life.
Especially if they lose their phone.
Right. Our mission is to try to prevent bullying and isolation of people with disabilities. Isolation's a big deal. A lot of them have nobody in their life but somebody who's paid to be there. So we're trying to bring friendship.
Where the funding?
you know,
It's awesome.
it is. It's cool. We have a Dancing with the Stars gala coming up. If you look for us, the gala is our big deal. This is like the most busy time of the year for me ever because our gala comes on May 3rd. I got to see Saturday this Saturday. It's prepping for this and a few other things going on, so it's a big time.
Do you, is there a certain type of issue you work with, or do you run across the gamut for the type of issues?
We run across the gamut. Mental, physical. We're trying to. One of the things we're doing right now is we're grouping small groups with other small groups in group homes, and that's it's been really successful with one group so far and one home. About 3 dozen people involved, so it's not a small deal, but work. Yeah, it's really neat when it all happens the way it's supposed to, and everybody gels, gets along, finds a friend. So if you think of us, you can vote for one of our dancers. We have a whole bunch of dancers.
What's the website you have up there?
It's cawash.org. Like car wash? Without, yeah. But Cincinnati. That's nice. So, thank you for thinking of us. We do everything we do with 3 part-time employees. And 2 of them are programming, and the other one is a 10-hour-a-week office person. So, small budget, big dreams. All right. Give you one more here. I'll look this up one more time here. Are we ready to go?
Certainly.
Ready with the recording and everything? All right.
We're good.
So my name is Gary Schultz. I am a DBA for West Bend Mutual. I've been there 6 years. I came from, I was a middle manager in masonry. My dad started a masonry business, and I worked my way through high school and college as a laborer, mixing mud, and said, I ain't doing this for a living. So I went to college, and I ended up working for my dad in the office, and then I worked for Best Block Company, and then they were bought by County Materials, and then I said, you know what? I really want to learn about databases, so I went to Tech Skills and got certified, and Tech Skills then hired me, and I worked there for 6 years. I learned a ton being a systems administrator. I was hired for SQL, and I ended up not really doing SQL. I ended up being chief cook and bottle washer, all things tech, and it was fun and different. And every day was something else. So that's a little bit of my background. But I've been a full-time DBA for 6 years. I have 3 passions. I love to volunteer. I volunteer for CA. I volunteer at YSEG. I go to open mics and play my guitar, which I started playing January of 18. So it hasn't been that long. I just spent 2 hours at the Guitar Center playing a 12-string. Don't get me going. I really enjoy performances and that sort of thing, talking. And my 3rd passion is teaching. I love to show people new stuff. I love to see lights go on, and I hope you find something in this today. There's nothing new here. I'm going to warn you. There's nothing new. It's been around, and there's a little bit here and there, but I hope you find a nugget that you can use and to be more productive in SSMS. How many developers do we have? Any developers? All right. So you have a slightly different focus, and you probably are using Visual Studio as well. Most of these things, SSMS is a version of Visual Studio. it's based on it. So a lot of these things transfer. And I'm going to show you a couple of hidden things, and some that are hidden in plain sight. Hopefully somebody will, hopefully everyone will get at least one nugget you can take with you. So we're going to do a lot of presentation. The first thing I would say is get solutions. I'm doing a complete demo today, and I'm just going to go right down my solution, and I put all of my notes in here, what I want to say and what I want to show you and what I want to do, and it makes it very organized. So I can just click on the next one. Solutions are just great. And I've just connected these queries. If you want to make a new query, you right click, make a new query, name it whatever you want. I find this to be really useful. One of the things that does happen is if you develop this on a different computer and then you bring it to this computer, what comes with the solution is the connection, and it'll sit there and flash at you until you get rid of it. So if you move it from one place to another, get rid of those old connections. It's pretty easy to do. Solutions, you can just be very organized and have a collection of your related queries. I got the word query in there now. All right. So the other thing I like to do, you'll notice here, I have a status bar. Normally that's down at the bottom. I like it at the top. I don't know. I think it's more useful up there. It's the same status bar you're always using, but the way that you do that is you go to Tools, Options. Let's see, Queries. Oops. I always have trouble finding this one. Text editor, there it is. Editor and tab status bar. And the other thing, every tab comes with the database name, and everything that's already up here in your connection is normally on your tab. So what I do is I turn those to false, and just give me the name of the file I'm in, please, for the tab. So when you look at my tabs, you see here's 03 groups, 02 split screen, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and here's the solution ones that we're on. So you don't have such a mess. I don't know. I like it clean. I have all my own little quirks, and people laugh at me at work with my whole taskbar on the left. The other three, there's a reason why I do that as well. I think it's more efficient. I have 2 monitors. I like it over there, and I drag stuff over to this one that I'm sort of looking at, but not really looking at. Every remote computer that you connect to is oriented upper left, always. You like scrolling? I hate it. I prefer to never scroll if possible. So I put everything on upper left, especially on all the computers that I connect to remotely, where I need something. So, my little thing. But you can see here I changed the database name to false. Include file name is true, and the other 2 are false. I think it comes with all of those being true. So that's something you can change. You also notice I made a single server connection red. I do this for all my production. When I connect to production, I want to know, I want a warning, because I get around to all these different environments, and you're promoting stuff, and all of a sudden you promote in production, and you meant to be in pre-prod or something, or staging, and that's just a good thing. I'm probably ahead of myself, but that's something I often do, just to warn myself. You can also change your connection string.
Can you change the text color on that bar? Black on red is hard to read.
Interesting. I don't know. Let's try. I bet we can, because you can mess with the fonts. and you can mess with the default fonts. I haven't tried it. I really don't want to do it right now. Remind me later, I'll try it. Let's see here. You can put any color you want here. Now it will take effect the next time you open a window. So if I change to purple here, I'll just do that, and then click on a different one. You can see it changes to purple. So that's within your screen here. You can also change the connection color in the options when you connect to a server right here. So if you want to change all your production ones red, you can do that in this little window. This one's a little hokey though. Doesn't always stay. It's
Especially if you have a crash.
yeah, if you have a crash or if you go to a different computer from one to another, if you didn't want to go log in another one, you can. It stays. So there's a couple of issues with it, but I just like every opportunity to warn myself that I'm in production, and that's another option that you have. All right, let's see here. Tools action editor, status bar. We talked about the tab text. Oh, note what happens too. I mean, this is kind of obvious, but when I have my focus in the query area here, you can see that there's a query menu. If I focus over here, the query menu goes away. Some people just never, they're like, where's the query menu? Well, you just focus over here. Newbies, but you know what? It's just one of those things that's kind of a little quirky. So there's also these context menus, which can be really interesting, and I'm going to share some of those later on. You can change your connection here. You can do a lot of different things. That's just a right click anywhere in this area. So I'm already getting ahead of myself. Splitting the screen. This is one of those hidden in plain sight things. It's been here since 2005, but you can split this screen and scroll separately in the same query. So if you've got all your requirements at the top and you're writing this query below, you can split it. If you have a really big screen, it's very handy. But that's just this little thing, and you want to get rid of it, you just drag it up. There's a way to double click too, but it doesn't work on mine for some reason. I broke it. Well, I crashed my, I don't know if I mentioned this, I mentioned this somewhere here earlier, but I crashed my computer. This is a brand new one. So hopefully it doesn't give me too many surprises. But splitting the screen, pretty cool. Tab groups. You can create, if you right click on a tab, you can create horizontal tab groups or vertical tab groups. So I just created a new tab group. On the one that I landed on, it made its own vertical tab group. And took my other queries that I had open over here, and I can still click between those without messing with this one. So if you're writing similar stuff, sometimes that's easy. You know, you can tell I'm kind of vertically oriented. There is a, if you want to get rid of that, you just drag it back over. Oops. Just drag it back over. If you want to do it horizontally, I don't think that's as good. Unless, if you have a wide query or something, maybe that'll be good too. But in this case, you split the screen, but you've got two completely separate windows. All right. So that's 3 appearances. I already talked about the appearances. You can see this is an old connection, and this is a new connection. Because I used to have it red, and now it's purple. There's a lot of things that you can do it. Let's see here. Of course, line numbers, you guys probably all know how to do that. But do you know that Control-G says go to line number?
Very handy.
It's very handy. Control-G So if I want to go to 13,
Works in almost every editor. Nope, it is possible.
and it'll work in the PowerShell
Oh,
IDE as well.
That came from
Or ISE. It's an ISE. Why is it not an E?
because it's
Because it's Microsoft making the acronym.
because it's PLC, right? PowerShell,
Yeah.
integrated shell environment,
Okay. Well, anyway,
scripting environment.
Alt-Shift-Enter. Here's another one. You really need to
Get big.
get big and focus in to get a lot of white space. Actually, my tab groups are still here. I'm going to throw that back up in there. Now you have a lot of white space, but that is a toggle. Alt-Shift-Enter. It works pretty good. Oh, I was going to show you a presentation mode. Sorry. That's part of my appearances one. So, have you noticed the quick launch up here in the upper right? That appeared, I think, in 14.
That's great. Fish.
So we can go, oh, actually go, it's called presenter mode, but it's present on. Present on. There is no present off. So there's a little gotcha with this one, but watch what happens. Actually, we can edit it. It's just straight XML. I'm going to change this to being even a little bigger. And I'm going to change this to be a little bigger. And I don't even need to save it. Then I can go up here and go present again. And I'll click present on. And boom, everything's bigger. If you forgot your glasses, that might be handy. If you're my age.
You have a high resolution screen,
Yeah.
like all the ones that are up there. If you go from like 1 HD to Ultra HD to 4K, and you go, I never need it. Of course, you can always use control and scroll below.
So the only way to get out of this is to restore defaults. So when I restore defaults, the two little edits that I made are going to be gone. And so that's restore default fonts. That's what it's called. See it down here. I haven't completely just typed in here to see what comes up. This is all I use it for right now, but I bet there's some more neat stuff in there. And I'm gonna point you to a book at the end of this where I got a bunch of this stuff, and it's free. So, scroll bar. Oh yeah. Did you know you can right click on the scroll bar and change scroll bar options? So if I go to use map mode, it gives me a little, I mean, if you got a really big query, you can navigate like this. It's a cool little thing. There's so much hidden stuff here. Also, if you want to make it bigger and you don't want to do the presentation mode, you can just make it 200 by zooming right there in the bottom left. Did you see that down here?
Do you have a scroll wheel?
Sorry?
Do you have a scroll wheel on your mouse?
I do.
With the control key. Use your scroll wheel.
Oh,
You're welcome.
did you guys hear that? Control and scroll, baby. All right, I'm adding that in here.
Is it in the app? Yeah, it's actually CUA character set. Apple actually started that, and then they violated it.
Oh.
It's called
the
CUA.
browser on.
Yeah, it works wonderfully. Actually, one of the only people I know that knew that was Hanson. This guy Hanson. He's,
Okay.
he goes, I bet you guys know how. I go, yeah, just hold on.
Chuck. I know Chuck Hansen. Dude, he was one of the founders of YSAT.
Good.
And he works for Microsoft. He's out there now. All right, multi-server queries. if you've never used them, they are awesome for DBAs.
Especially when you have 700 servers.
Right. So I just opened a query. I right-clicked on my local server groups. So this is registered servers. Here's how you get it. View, registered servers, or Control-Alt-G. I'm a mouser, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed that. But there's almost for any one of these, there are keyboard commands. I know. I used to have a mouse that had 10 buttons, and I programmed cut and paste on my thumb and my index finger. There's nothing faster than highlighting here. Oh, let's just go select that server name. If I could spell. Never code in a demo. So what's cool about it, oh, here's another thing. I renamed my computer today because this did not appeal to me. Do you see that? Yeah. By the way, that's Zoomit, which is another little free thing. And if you hold control, you can make it a square. You can point at it. Zoomit's a cool little thing from Mark Precedents in the sys internal tools. Another thing that you can always throw on there if you forget your glasses. You can just click Control F1 and zoom in. And this one works with the scroll bar too, or with the scroll wheel.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
Although, I apologize if anybody gets squeamish about that. All right. So let's see here. Where are we at? So that's MultiServer Queries. I'm just going to close that one so I don't save it into my thing. regex. I'm trying to put funny quotes on the top of everything here. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. Gravity seems to be stronger as you get older.
It's just raking like a mushroom.
Regex is using regular expressions. Everybody kind of knows Control H. If you highlight a word, it happened to be on regex. Let's see here. What's cool about this, I'm going to go down here. Say we want to put a, in this case, it's almost straight up and down. So there's a couple ways to put a colon at the end of that. But when they're all over the place, the easiest way to put a colon at the end is to go $, semicolon, sorry, I meant to say semicolon, or actually $. Let's replace the $with a semicolon. And this is not as clear as it could be. Now it's on. You gotta mess with it a little bit. Now I'm gonna grab my selection area after I've done all this, and I'm gonna say not current document, just selection. And then this is replace all. Oh, I got a new line. How did that happen? Okay. Let's see. Get a new line in there. I didn't tell it to go new line. Because if I wanted to go new line, I would have gone /n. The other thing is, I will search for my /n now. Okay. I'm just going to go Control Z, come back. $, gets me the end of every line. One of the interesting things with this, since the last time I gave this, okay, maybe that didn't it. Selection. Yeah, it's weird. Okay.
You got a space before the $sign.
Control Z. You can always take it back.
It's your friend.
Control Z is my friend. Undo. There's multi
Especially when you
undo.
just leave it moving also.
Yeah. All right. So the other way of doing that, have you guys seen this one? Oops.
Oh, that's nice. That's right in there.
That is called vertical vertical replace, or you could take a rectangular area. Say I want to change DBO to person.
However,
Boom.
Doing a control.
I'm doing an Alt left click. The other way of doing it is you can, there's a way of doing it with arrow keys. I think I have that written on another screen. But that's called the vertical block replace, and it's one of my next ones I'm going to do. But it only works when it's a block. So, but it works pretty good.
Yeah. Like that.
And that one's one of those hidden ones. So I hold down Alt and I mouse. You can also do it by, I think you can hold down Alt and let's try it.
Shift.
Let's try it. Shift, Alt, Shift.
Shift, and then.
Alt, Shift, up. There it is.
Yeah.
Same thing. Left. There it is. That can be really handy. And
quiz it one.
quiz at 11? Sure. Here's my second rag. Oh, this one's fun. So next, we just had April Fools. Did you guys play any jokes on anybody?
Should tape up out of this.
Did you know you can wreak havoc on somebody by changing the batch separator? The batch separator is go, right? So let's see here. You change that to select. It makes it really funny. It'll take them a while to figure it out. It's
You
kind of
don't
mean.
murder
though.
everybody in.
It's kind of mean, but it's kind of fun too. The weird things you can do. Let's see. Oh, let's see here. I didn't give myself directions on how to do that here. In this one, what I was going to show is you often get you go on a website and you download, and it's got double spaces, and they drive you. If you're like me, I don't like double spacing. So I was going to Control H. In fact, I'm going to get rid of the mapping here. Just make it back to a bar. All of these little things mean something too. All these colors. Click on those. I'll point you to the book for that, but that can be more helpful to developers probably.
Can you make those larger so you can click on them a little easier? You know what I mean?
These things?
Yeah, or do you have to magnify on the scroll bar?
You know,
Just Zoomit.
Zoomit's not going to help me. But I don't know if you can make that any bigger.
Oh, okay.
Scroll bar options, top, bottom, page up. What else can we see here?
There's an annotation.
I guess-
in the display right there.
Look at it, we can even go really wide
That's a little better. Yeah.
with the mapping mode. That's just the mapping mode. Change that to media. Change that back. So anyway, let's do this Control H. We're going to search on NN. Let's Control H again. Notice it populated that. And I'm going to replace it with nothing. Oh, just happened.
Controls.
Yeah, that looks interesting. Okay, regex is not working the way I expected it
No,
to.
it's not working.
I don't know what is going on.
Got something else.
Yeah, something else is weird here.
Somebody lifted up a batch
This-
place on your.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting it to not, I was expecting it to take out all these double spaces, but it's selecting
All that.
everything. There's something odd going on. You know what?
It's selecting every
It's got
double.
all of them. It shouldn't be doing that. So that's everything. That should be double. I don't know.
But you got double line feeds all over the place.
Yeah, it should get these two.
Let's replace it with just 1\n instead of 2.
Oh, that's what I should do. There you go. There we go. That's what I need. Just replace it with 1 instead of nothing. There we go.
Next to somebody on the line.
I probably wrote that up
Here
here.
just made 3 lines.
The other thing is if you like spaces instead of tabs, or tabs instead of spaces, you can search on the tab character and replace all the tabs with 4 spaces or 3 spaces or whatever you want. I'm not going to demonstrate that one. I'm having too much trouble with regex. So block replace I told you about. This slide is brought to you by the Department of Redundancy Department. But there's some other things on here. I was just showing, what was I going to show here?
Block, how you move the block.
Let's create. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a cool one. Ever use external tools? So I'm going to create an external tool here. I'm going to call it command prompt. And what's really interesting about this is, we'll apply it. Then you go back up here to tools and look what just showed up in my toolbar. Command prompt. Not only is it a command prompt, I'm in the same security context. That can be very handy. So if you need to test what security context you're in, or if this particular user has access to a file, for instance, if it's going to read something, you can test that right here in the tool.
You know, rocks when you're doing admin stuff too, you have to get to the files. It's almost like having SSH built in for whatever, because you can actually map the drive under that security context too to another server too. It's just awesome. So
Yeah.
you can kind of make your way around wherever.
Right, and if you're doing some one-offs, like taking a backup for somebody that you have to put in a long-term storage somewhere, you can make sure that you can connect to that if you're setting up a job to do it at a specific time, or they're going to call the job when they, get to their point in the process where they want to back up. That happens. This is how you test that. It's pretty awesome. Works in PowerShell too. Oh, cool. Okay. So
There used to be an editor called Brief that had a lot of this stuff. It's almost funny. I don't think people actually realize what columnar and block editing, how powerful that is, because if you have this giant, huge query and all this stuff, instead of having to go down all those columns and put those things in, you can, use regex obviously, but if there's different shapes in there and patterns, you can kind of grab those pieces out of there too, drag them out.
So here's a cool little thing. It's not going to be cool here, watch what happens. You know what's going to happen here, right? I'm going to get a null result set. Okay. Why would I want a null result set, you ask? I think it's Control and Shift. Control Shift C. Copy with headers. What that just gave me
For headers.
is all the headers. So if you're going to go into a DMV and you want to know what all the fields are that this DMV is going to pull, and you want that list quick, where 1 equals 0, and then Control Shift C, take your null result set, you got all kind of cool. Another little quirky.
You can also create tables
Interesting
that
way to
way
do
these
stuff.
things. Select two row.
I'm going back to where I was here, sorry. All right, and then I'm going back to my regex and Control Z that before I accidentally say it. I'm sorry, what was your point?
So you can also do the same thing when you're building tables, right? Selecting two, just for 1 equals 2.
Okay.
So you can, anytime you want to do a select, you can create a copy of the table or the view as a table.
Okay.
And then it'll actually create the object.
Of course, we're right in that area. Kind of everybody should know this one. If you've been around, you can go into basically any table, drag the columns, so you don't want to type. You can actually control the bracket character if you want to. That's in the options. I don't know why you wouldn't want to have brackets, because especially if you're using spaces like this, you have to have the bracket for everywhere there's a space, but you wouldn't have to in the system ID. So
It's actually the best practice to have the brackets, I think, because it's 92 compliant as well.
So the other thing you can do here, I'm just dragging the name of the table itself as well. Really quick, really simple.
You want to confuse people, make tables with spaces in them.
What?
Make tables with spaces in them.
Tables with spaces. I have one database with a space that I run into that thing every time I run a script.
Every time you want to run a script again.
I have a special snowflake.
I have a question about the column selection.
Yeah.
Can you just select specific columns, or is it, when you drag and drop? I know you can do the full set or one at a time, but is there a way to do like a subset? If
You know how I would do it?
Oh, sure.
I would go F7. Well, actually, let's do it this way. We'll go to View, and we'll go to Object Explorer Details. I was going to show this later in another type of thing, but I think this is how I do it. So if I want, I'm going to go to Tables, and let's just pick the person ones. I'm going to hold down Control. Right? Actually, let's go into a table, because you wanted columns. Well, there's only 3 columns here.
Yeah, one with 3.
Let's find one with a little more stuff. Oh, let's try this one. Okay, so we go to columns. Again, here you can click every other one.
Okay.
Control C, and let's just open a new query and drop them.
Thanks.
So, yeah, it's there's a lot. There's so many shortcuts. There's so many ways to do things. It's very Microsoft-y, but there's not a whole lot of reason to type. Let's see here. So drag and drop, explore. Did we do everything there? I think so. Keyboard shortcuts. Now I have the Zoomit turned on. I'm going to turn it off. Yeah, I suppose I could do it that way. Zoomit's probably not going to show up.
Yeah, a bit more detail.
There's no control F in here. Yeah, it's okay. It's not that cool. It runs through it. Control 1 and we'll go to the keyboards here. Let's go to tools, options. Keyboards, where are they? Environment, keyboard, query shortcuts. So Alt F1, I threw who is active. I don't know in case you use add a mechanics thing. Who is active is handy for DBAs. I can press Control F1 and when I'm focused in the thing, it should run. I also threw Blitz first in here with Control 3. I think Zoomit's going to screw with that. Let's do this. One of the things is if you do change these things, and I say OK, I have to close out completely for it to take effect and then come back.
It's got to write it to the ME file is why it's the flaw in that version of SQL Server. Sorry, that version of Visual Studio that uses.
Let's see, Snag. Well, trust me, it runs. Yeah, it's the F2 is a snagging thing. They're colliding here, and Zoomit's taking precedence, but it does work, and you can set those to whatever you like them to be. You can't change Control 1. You can't change a couple of them are set up, but you've got maybe 8 or 9 of them available to you as shortcuts, and you can run anything. Highlighting, one of the things I just hit Alt F1. Yeah, and this is messed up too. It should be running. You should be able to click on something like this and Control 1 and get SP help to run. It'll tell you everything about that object, and there's a couple of alternatives out there that even give you more information that you can set up in these things, and they'd be nice when you're not doing a presentation. Connection coloring we kind of talked about already. Template Explorer, how many of you use templates? Use templates? Wow. Did you know templates were available? So if you go to View, let's go back here. Well, I already have it down here. I was going to show you how.
There you go.
Takes a little while sometimes. Control-Alt-T, that's the other one. See, I'm a mouser, so I was looking for the way to do it through the view. I think it's through View here. Template Explorer, right there it is. So on the View menu, Template Explorer, there's a bunch of things you can do with this. So say you want to write a CTE that's recursive queries, common table expression. You can grab that and just drag it over. And there's a whole template. And that's a complex query to write.
And I think you can do that programmatically too, if I remember right, but it's just up to home.
There's a couple of ways to get the same information. There's some cool things built in here. How long do we go? 7?
About 7.
Okay.
You can go over if you want. It's all right.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's going to
I don't want to keep anybody from beer though. If you need a beer, just go get it. All right. So look at all of these. Database mail, database role. I mean, all of these. They even got SQL Azure database. So there are a ton.
There's 2 companies that make these too, and I don't know if they're still doing it or not, but I used to actually write them too. Again, there's
You can make your own.
an editor called Brief that had a lot of this stuff in here. And Azure Data Studio, I think, has beginnings of some of this in it too. So
Okay.
yeah,
XML schema collections. Oh, that's interesting. Create XML schemas.
there's old JSON.
Yeah. You grab one and drag it over. There's another way of doing it, which I'm going to show you later, because I think I have it written in a later item. But now I need to go back to my solution explorer. Snippets. Say you want to surround a certain part of a query with a condition. How do you do that? A quick way. You highlight your query. You come up here to Tools. Not Tools. It's in the context menu. Surround with. Can you see this?
Gives you the loops.
Oh, shoot. It made it translucent.
It took the focus off of it because
It says begin if and while. So I'm going to go back here. Surround with, which is Control K, Control S. And I'm going to say surround it with if, and double click it, and look what happened.
I want to give all these things away to whoever's happy coders.
So the 3 that you can get in surround are begin, end, if, and I think while. That's the other one. I did it again. Did the wrong thing. Yeah, begin, if, and while. Let's try a while. So same basic idea. Refresh IntelliSense. Ever typing along and suddenly IntelliSense just stops, and you're like,
Takes over, kills you.
well, there's a way to fix that. You can refresh the local cache on the edit menu. So go to the edit menu, IntelliSense, which is in the bottom here, and refresh local cache, or you can Control-Shift-R.
That's the pirate way to do it.
R. Oh boy, that's almost too bad.
Oh, I got
Some of my quotes are here.
my wife doesn't even want to live with me.
I like that. I have that quote on my desk, actually. Creativity is seeing what everyone else is seeing and thinking what no one else has thought. That's Einstein. So this is another one of those things that you go to tables. Note what happens right above it. You got this little filter icon. If I go off of it, that shades out. So you can tell right away if you can filter something or if you can't filter something. So I'm going to go back on tables and I'm going to filter and I'm going to say name contains person. And say, okay, because when you got a million things and you only want to look at the ones you want to look at,
75,000 procs.
yeah, that works on store procedures. It works on basically lists of objects on the left navigation pane. Watch for that filter button to see what you can filter. And then you can see here that it says it's filtered. So if you're looking for something, you can't find it, and you see filtered,
Take the filter off.
take the filter off. It's another one that can get can get you once in a while.
Who deleted all the tables in the database?
And you can just right click again and remove filter.
Oh, that's neat.
And boom, they all come back. Does not contain. Okay. You can also do it does not contain there. There's a lot of filtering options that I'm going to demonstrate that.
That's awesome for sure. Experiment with it, right?
Yeah.
Can we use regex?
So Object Explorer,
I'm a sick person.
I already showed you the shortcut in Object Explorer and some of those things that we did. So again, you get the Object Explorer through the view or Object Explorer details. So did you also know that, I really don't care about policy health state. I don't know anybody who does.
Policy health people.
Yeah, I use policy, but I don't really care about create date. What I do care about as a DBA is index space, and I also care about data space, and I care about number of rows. So, and then I can just quickly see which ones are taking up the most space, and which ones are taking up the most rows. And if somebody says, "Hey, we need to clean up one of these databases," so this is just powerful view.
Let's use that filter thing. Get rid of them all right away.
Let's see. Can I do that? I can do that. I can do that too.
Like you said, that's a sick April Fool's joke.
The
There's
filters.
a filter.
The filter's there too. Oh, I didn't do my change go to select. We'll do that later. All right. Any questions? This is really handy. Again, I'm going to show you one other thing here. Control. Do you ever have somebody come to you and say, "I need you to script out all these tables"? And you can script out from the database. You can go tasks, generate scripts. Okay. That'll generate this entire database if you want to. Did you know also that you can use generate scripts to generate insert statements for all of your data?
Rocks, man. Rocks.
It rocks to do.
Because instead of doing the delimited thing and then going to a regex to add all to the front and the beginning of all of it, you just do the insert statements and it puts the fields that you select and the values that you want to put in there.
Yep.
Rocks.
So that can be done through the tasks and through, let me just show you.
And it's a great way to transfer data from one place to another.
I'm going to select which items I want to do. Tables. Say we want all the personal ones again. Maybe not all of them.
Just, you're not a people person.
And you have to click the advanced here. And then you come down here to create, drop, and create. Where's the insert? All right, you're seeing some. Maybe I'll see it here. Index. Oh, sure, no, I don't see it. Let me try something else here. Actually, I was going to show you a different way to do it. If you go into, let's go tables. Let's go grab this, and this one, and this one. I'm going to right click to get script table as, and create it to a new query editor window. Guess what we just got? Those three tables scripted in entirety in one window. That's handy. That's handy.
I think you can do dependencies and data too, but this one's sweet.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the data one. I know there's a way to do it here. Let me just find it here. If you do an insert to here, this is not really doing an insert. This is not the data. To get the data,
You don't even want to actually shoot the data.
you got to go here and do it through the tasks, or actually through here, tasks, generate scripts, choose objects, give me a table, advanced. One of these things says, oh, here it is. Types of data to script. I just didn't.
Oh, that's obvious.
Isn't it so obvious? Look, here's data only. And that will create an insert for every row. That's just pretty good. Sorry. Okay. So it took me 2 tries, but I got it. All right.
We don't have to go
Just
through all
knowing
those
that something like
import,
that's
export
available.
steps. We don't have to go through all those import export steps. That's the thing.
Right.
You can actually transfer the data from this system way the hell over here. You can email to your buddy in Alaska.
Extensions. Do you ever get an email like this? In fact, I was going to show you my email because I sent this to myself. You're not connected. Let's try Gmail. I sent this query from a thing today.
I don't know why they never made. There's Google. Why didn't they make Google? So that way they can have thumbnail.
Doodle?
The calendar. Now they have a calendar coming out.
There actually is a Doodle. And I use it for trying to get my band members together. Well, I can't find my email. Oh well. So you get an email, and then you go, hey, can you help me with this query? It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. The
Can
famous.
you help me with it? And you look at this and you go, nope. Wouldn't it be cool if there was one button that you could fix that format? Did you see that? That's Apex refactored, and it's free. It took that blob and just turned it into something that's very readable and hierarchical. You say that twice after a couple of years.
Right.
So that's one. If you're like me and you work with security people and they want to know, do we have data out there that contains social security numbers? Or emails, even personal identify information or payment information, because emails can be used for that now too. So let's just look for email. Oh, we're only looking at the master database. That probably won't find one. Look at all the emails we've got. This is search. Been around for a long time. I use it really often. People ask me, where's this? Oh, it's here. Or is there this type of data in this particular, you get a third-party database, or you have a merger and they have some new stuff and you're like, okay, what's our exposure here? You can quickly search for stuff and it looks at everything. It looks at the text that creates the store procedure. It looks at the text of the column names. It looks at all of it. So it's really very handy. And then you can click on it and say, find it for me. That was a double click. And there it is. What I double clicked on. Very handy, very useful. And that's called Redgate Search from our friends at Redgate. Christmas. So, almost everything I've shared with you is in the book. And you can get this book for free. It's from SQL Down Under. And he's from Melbourne. And he's got a podcast. And you want to hear him talk to all the SQL dudes, you can hear him talk about SQL Down Under. Which is fun. But he wrote this book. And let me show you the book quick. Right here. You want to go more in depth? Because our hour's up. Get the book. Seriously. Here's all the things in Object Explorer. Adding multi-level undo redo. Okay. I didn't add that into my thing. Let's just make that a little bigger. So anyway, he's got not only topics, he's got diagrams that shows you where to get it, and how to get it. He keeps it up to date. So it's pretty awesome. It's a free one. And he also has the podcast Down Under that I just subscribe to. So I'm going to listen to him talk to. I'm amazed at all the people he gets on there. A lot of big names. Go ahead. Yes.
What do you use to locate specific data in the database? Like you're looking for an invoice number, and you want to find out every place that's located. I have something that I use. It's an old, it's like 15 years old. But I wondered if there were something else.
Does it make sense for that?
I'm trying to think of what it is, but
It's like an object. I've used it before. I don't know what's built in, but I know I think it's Redgate SQL 2000. Their SQL search is a free option, and that is really excellent.
So
Be different from this here, so what he was showing us.
this is Redgate SQL Search. Let's try it.
Yeah, it'll work in SQL Search too, and we're seeing actually a SQL Compare too. That's actually really awesome.
I use SQL Compare, yeah.
If you have a license for it.
Yeah.
I have Idera SQL Compare. There's built-in comparison in Visual Studio as well.
For data.
A lot of our guys use Visual Studio to do data comparisons. One of the things that I really like, I had a guy was cleaning up a database, and it was a security database, and he deleted 6 years worth of data, and tried to go back and fix it without telling us. So now I got
not big mess. Oh my god.
a huge mess. But what I did is I restored a backup, and I did data compare, and I created a script, and it literally, I could not copy the script into any of my SSMS because it was so big. It did like 8 million rows or something like that. It was just ridiculously long. But I ran it from SQL Compare and ran it, and everybody was happy.
I actually edited logs that were just gigantic, and I tell you gigabytes, and I did it in Notepad.
Oh,
Just have to have enough memory, or virtual memory. And it worked, and I had to do it, somebody deleted 10 million rows off of production database, and I had to rebuild it. So I had to go back and pull the stuff, deletes out of the log, and then roll it back. And then I was like, oh my god, it had to work.
I like Notepad++.
And they fired me doing it.
Really? Oh, wow. I like Notepad++ because you can get SQL formatters in there. You can do a lot of different things in there. In fact, the left shift vertical replace works in Notepad++ as well. Yeah, so that's what I got. Everybody learned something? Everybody got something?
That's great.